Welcome back to the still terribly named Okay Not Okay podcast. I am the SportsZu, and this is the big one, folks. This is where I make my predictions for the card for WrestleMania 41. We're going to do this every time after a big 4 pay-per-view. So make sure to go back and check out what I said after SummerSlam, but I'll remind you here as well. So another thing we're going to do is that because they've now added 2 additional championships, both on the women's side with the US and IC titles, well, there are just too many matches to talk about, so we will do something new and add in our picks for the SmackDown before WrestleMania. Since that is at the WrestleMania site, they kind of treat that like a beginning to the weekend of WrestleMania. So we're gonna park a couple of the championships there. So why don't we get to the cards with 3 different cards. We're gonna have first that SmackDown before WrestleMania with 5 matches. Then nights 1 and 2 of WrestleMania themselves will both have 7 matches each. So that is 19 matches we will try to talk about. So let's get to it and knock them out as quickly as possible. So first, with the SmackDown before WrestleMania, we're going to start it off with a brand new, well, at least revived after a very long time, Women's Battle Royal, with the additional stipulation that the winner will get the first shot to be the #1 contender for either the Women's United States or Intercontinental Championships. So obviously they're trying to get all these women into matches with all of these new belts, so why not throw everybody together and see what happens. Okay, next we'll do the WWE Tag Team Championships. I had a fatal 4-way for this match previously, but now we're going to drop it down to a triple threat with a few different teams in it. So right now the Motor City Machine Guns are the champions, but they are not going to be our champions by the time WrestleMania rolls around. We will instead say that the Street Profits finally get it done and go into WrestleMania with a new attitude as the champions, but the Machine Guns will still be in this match, and we're going to throw in a Town Down Under as well. So we knocked out a couple teams from before, and most notably, we do think that DIY will be breaking up before then. Up next will be a new match with the Women's United States Championship. Well, who knows who's going to win the initial tournament here, but I think whoever does will not be the champion at the time. Instead, walking in as the champion will be Piper Niven, and she will be taking on her former best friend and now rival Chelsea Green. So that'll be a good friend versus foe match. I think that'll be a lot of fun, and I think we will finally see that title will go red, white, and green. So what we have for the women, we will of course still have for the men, and in this case, this one will be the ongoing Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And there are just so many guys to get onto the card here that I feel really badly, so I'm going to say the favorite in this match will be Chad Gable. And lastly, in the main event of this SmackDown before WrestleMania, I feel really badly about keeping a couple of these folks out of the actual WrestleMania card, but like I said, we just had to move things around to do it. So for the Women's Tag Team Championships, the champions of Pure Fusion Collective, in this case, of course, Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, will take on the team that doesn't quite realize they're a tag team, but by the time WrestleMania comes around, they're going to need to get together in order to have a WrestleMania match. That is Bayley and Naomi, and I do feel really, really badly about that, especially considering where they were last year. But hey, you gotta get it done here. We'll give them a chance for the titles. All right, with that, let's move right along to WrestleMania Night 1, and we'll start it off with the exact same match with the Intercontinental Championship between the champion, Braun Breaker, and the challenger in his final WrestleMania, John Cena. I just don't see a great place to put Cena here, so getting a Grand Slam championship is really a good way to do it. And also, with Braun Breaker having such a great year, this is a great reward for him as well. This one got a little perilous when Jay beat him for the IC title earlier, but it's good to see that it's right back where it should be. In our second match on this card, we have a pretty well worked around new World Tag Team Championship match. Now we're going to say that the War Raiders defeat the Judgment Day and they go into WrestleMania as the champions, and they'll face first the LWO of Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Unfortunately, with Braun Strowman getting injured, we're not going to see any shenanigans here. Dragon Lee is actually going to make it to the match this year. And then, of course, to top off this triple threat, the new attitude of the New Day. They're going to wipe out just about everyone in the tag team division to find a way to get back into this match in time for WrestleMania. Up third on this card, it's going to be a really big blood feud with Randy Orton finally getting his one-on-one match against Kevin Owens. And I think Orton's going to have to be out for quite a while. Maybe he'll return in time just for the Royal Rumble, but we can string this out a little bit more at this point. So Orton versus Owens, finally at WrestleMania. Fourth on this card, it'll be the same, and I'm a little bit worried about it at this point, but I'm going to say that Bianca Belair will still take on Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. Yeah, Jade is injured. Who knows whether it's real or not? It seems that news changes all the time. But I think that she's probably really injured and it's going to take a few months for her to heal up. So I think the convenient way to do this is to just say that it was Bianca who did this all along. So she's going to be the bad guy in this particular match. In our fifth match on this card, we're going to tweak it a little bit to make it fit, and I think this will make it a whole lot better because we're going to stick with the Judgment Day versus the Wyatt Six. Previously, we had this as a 5-on-5 mixed tag match. Now it will be a 6-on-6 mixed tag match. Obviously, Raquel Rodriguez is in the Judgment Day now, so we need another woman on the Wyatt Six. And please let this happen. Finally, we need you back, Alexa. Alexa Bliss is going to come back to be on the Wyatt Six. That would be a beautiful thing that we all so desperately want. So let's finally make that happen. Up sixth, I'm gonna keep this match exactly the same, which is kind of going out on a limb at this particular moment because what I thought that was going to happen by the time Bad Blood was over did not. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. Rhea Ripley will still be the women's world champion by the time we get to WrestleMania, and she will take on the Royal Rumble winner, Io Sky. Whew, baby. I don't have great feeling about this one right now, but for now, I'm not gonna change it just yet. Now, I must be the only one that thinks Io Sky is going to win this thing because all of the actual favorites on our normal betting site, whose name we never disclose, Io is way down there at plus 10,000. However, here's the thing. Anyone who really is going to win this other than her, they've already won it. So do we really want to go back and have our first two-time women's winner here? Or do we want to continue to inject some new blood with a Royal Rumble winner? Io has always been fantastic every time that you see her. And it seems like Rhea and Io have some interesting interactions where they really like each other right now. But Rhea said to get the title, she wouldn't mind going through Io. So I think it might be the reverse here. By the time we get to WrestleMania, Io has to go through Rhea to get the title. And lastly, in the main event of night one of WrestleMania, I'm sticking with it still because we haven't had any reason to change at this point. I will still say Seth Rollins walks in as the champion, and CM Punk, your Royal Rumble winner, will face him one-on-one in the match that we were supposed to have last year. Now, how are we going to get to this? Well, in the Netflix premiere of Monday Night Raw, in the very first match, we'll go back to the women, where Rhea will beat Liv Morgan to become the champion with a little bit of help from the returning Becky Lynch. That'll be a great way to kick off Raw on Netflix. And then in the main event, Seth Rollins, who will still be in the process of turning heel, while Gunther, who will still be in the process of turning face, will go one-on-one, and Seth Rollins will find a way to defeat him, and that will set up CM Punk to win this Rumble. Okay, with that, let's head on over to Night 2 of WrestleMania. We're going to tweak our opening match ever so slightly in our six-pack ladder match for the United States Championship. Well, LA Knight just lost, but he didn't lose to the person that I had originally thought he would lose to, which was Santos Escobar. Yeah, that never really got very close. He's getting demoted to the Battle Royal on the SmackDown before WrestleMania, and in his place will be the actual champion of Shinsuke Nakamura, but he'll still face all 5 of the other same gentlemen that we named after SummerSlam. It'll be Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, LA Knight, Logan Paul, and even a returning AJ Styles. In our second match, we're gonna tweak this one just a little bit. We had a triple threat match for the #1 contender spot for the World Heavyweight Championship. But now we're just simply going to change that into a fatal 4-way because you cannot leave Bronson Reed off of the card after everything he has done throughout this second half of the wrestling year. So yeah, we can't leave him out. We've got to find a way for him. I think this is the spot to put him in. So we will stick with Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre versus Gunther versus Big Bronson Reed. In our third match, we will go with an obviously new match for the Women's Intercontinental Champion. And I'm going to just say that I'm going to predict that Lyra Valkyria wins this initial tournament, and she's going to stay as the champion all the way up until WrestleMania, where she will face Becky Lynch for the title. Those two have already fought for the title in NXT, so why not do it again for the Women's Intercontinental Championship? And they obviously seem to be good friends behind the scenes, and that's what we saw on Monday Night Raw. So I think that would be a really good match to do that, and for Becky to become a Grand Slam champion in this new era. I guess you have to redefine it now for the women. I think she would want to be the very first of those, so why not give Becky that opportunity to win this championship? All right, up fourth, right in the middle of day 2, we're going to start our new Bloodline versus OG Bloodline matches yet again. And I just have to admit, I didn't know what to do at this point. I had initially split these up into singles matches, but ran out of space on the card. We know Triple H does not like to have big cards, so there's no way I'm gonna have 9 or 10 match cards for both of these 2 nights of WrestleMania. So the only way to do this is to keep it as a 6-man match. So we've got Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa still facing Jimmy and Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. So, of course, I want to apologize for all of these gentlemen for not getting them one-on-one matches, and I want to go back and apologize to everyone in that Fatal 4-Way match for not getting them in one-on-one matches either. There was just simply no space on these cards to do so, to try to get all of the championships somewhere on any of these 3 nights. So unfortunately, they just have to get crammed together at some point. All right, in our 5th match, it's our other women's championship match for the women's WWE title. And I'm gonna keep it exactly the same. What I said previously was that Charlotte Flair would be returning, and she wasn't gonna win the Royal Rumble, but she is going to win the Elimination Chamber to become the #1 contender to face Nia Jax. But while those two are arguing and fighting each other, well, finally, after all this time, Tiffany Stratton is going to come in, and she is going to cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase on Nia, and we're going to end up having a triple threat match for the Women's WWE Championship. All right, in our semi-main event of Night 2 of WrestleMania, I am just going to say this guy doesn't need to be in the main event every single year. This time, we've got to stick with Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa in Tribal Combat to be the head of the table and in our fight for the Ulafala. So all I can say here is I think CM Punk was promised a WrestleMania main event at some point, so we've got to knock that out here since he missed that the last time. Otherwise, this one would have been Night 1's main event. But Roman has simply main evented so many nights of WrestleMania that he can survive one time being the semi-main event and next to last match of WrestleMania Night 2. And of course, Solo's had a pretty good year here, but no one quite bills him as a WrestleMania main eventer. So for the purpose of this big bloodline blow-off, it's going to have to go down one peg to the next to last match. So that takes us to our main event of Night 2 of WrestleMania. And even though I'm getting a little bit more worried about it on a day in and day out basis, I'm still going to stick with it. They showed it to us on Night 1 after WrestleMania last year, and it's just going to have to happen. Cody Rhodes walking in as your undisputed WWE Champion, still going up against the final boss, The Rock. And yeah, every other day we have a new report out of The Rock. The Rock's going to have a match at WrestleMania. No, The Rock's not going to have a match at WrestleMania. No, plans are fluid. If he wants to do it, sure, we'll add him in. Or no, we just don't think anything's going to happen here. He's just going to miss it. Or they already filmed something for this WrestleMania match. And so I guess I'm going to bank on that one, that it's already in motion no matter what anyone else says. So I'm going with it. This is simply what we have to do here. These two are going to go at it, with The Rock having 3 matches left in his WWE wrestling career. This one here where he beats Cody Rhodes, then they're going to do it again at SummerSlam and he's going to lose, and then finally in his last match of his career we'll finally get the match that everyone's wanted for forever, The Rock against Roman Reigns. So there you have it, 19 matches for WrestleMania weekend. I wonder how many we're going to get right, but even if things aren't looking so good, we'll try this one more time after the Royal Rumble. But for now, we'll just keep our fingers crossed and hope this goes all right. While I'm looking ahead to WrestleMania, the Doc made his more immediate picks for who should be next for each of the WWE titles. And if you missed that, be sure to check that out right on over here. But for now, I'm the SportsZu, and this has been the OK Not OK podcast.